the moonlight, Megumi is running, as if there are thousands of wild beasts behind her.
Why do I bully you? I don't need a reason.
Megumi was beaten for a long time and finally escaped.
What happened to you?
I fell down on a street.
Bandage yourself.
Thank you, Akira.
The next day, on her way home from school, those people came to bother Megumi again.
How come you are the first in the exam again? Didn't I warn you last time not to surpass me?
Please let me go. I won't do it again next time.
Sure enough, the blonde girl, Misaki, started kicking and punching Megumi.
Megumi was beaten badly. She glared fiercely at Misaki and began to curse her.
How dare you say that to me? You are done.
Megumi didn't know how much time had passed, but she felt her consciousness slowly fading. She could no longer feel the pain, only managed to take one last look at the world. It was already late at night, and Akira was at home playing video games. Realizing that Megumi still hadn't come home, he angrily slammed the console and rushed out the door. Finally, he found Megumi. The moment he saw her in that condition, Akira immediately called for an ambulance. The hospital informed Akira that Megumi wouldn't wake up anytime soon, and that a costly surgery would be required. Akira left the hospital and returned home. He opened a cabinet, took out a wig, and put it on. As Megumi's twin brother, once he wore the wig, he looked exactly like her. Megumi and Akira were both orphans. They were raised by an old man who made a living collecting scrap. Although they grew up together, Akira and Megumi had very different personalities. One night, Akira stood by Megumi's bedside, covered in blood.
Give me a piece of clothing to wear.
Quickly change and go back to sleep. Oh, and don't wake Grandpa.
But from that day on, raw animal meat started appearing mysteriously in Megumi's home. One day, Akira came back from outside, holding a blood-soaked rabbit in his arms. Everyone finally understood. Akira had been going out to hunt every night. One day, Megumi was awakened by a sudden scream. She ran toward the source and discovered that it was her neighbor, Yoko, who died at home. His mother was holding his body and crying. Megumi was startled, and it seemed like something suddenly clicked in her mind. Without saying a word, she pushed through the crowd and ran straight back home.
Are you related to Yoko's death? Why did you do that?
Why? He tried to steal the rabbits I caught. This is what he deserved.
In the classroom, Akira was suddenly slapped by a girl. Without hesitation, he struck back just as hard. Suzuki immediately clapped her hands in delight. Akira stared at the girl who had slapped him, committing her face to memory. The girl laughed even more maniacally, taunting and mocking Akira with cruel delight. Chizuru suddenly noticed a carton of milk on Akira's desk. Without hesitation, she grabbed it, took a sip, then poured the rest all over his desk. At that moment, teacher walked in and looked at Akira's desk in confusion. Chizuru immediately shifted all the blame onto Akira. Akira quickly apologized and said he would go to the restroom to get some paper towels to clean it up. The teacher agreed and told Akira to hurry and come back quickly.
In the classroom, Akira was suddenly slapped by a girl called Chizuru. Suzuki immediately clapped her hands in delight. Akira stared at Chizuru, who had slapped him, committing her face to memory. Chizuru laughed even more maniacally. Chizuru suddenly noticed a carton of milk on Akira's desk. Without hesitation, she took a sip, then poured the rest all over his desk.
Oh my God, what are you doing? Why is the classroom so messy? Look at all the milk on the floor. Who did this?
Oh, Sensei, this bottle of milk belongs to Megumi and it spilled everywhere when she drank it.
She is right. I am sorry. I will go to the bathroom to get my things and clean up now.
Akira actually went to the restroom and took a few sheets of paper. He looked around and noticed an open window, then left the restroom with the paper. He circled around to the position of the restroom window. He climbed back through the window, picking up a discarded water pipe along the way, twirling it in his hand before leaning against the wall, waiting for something. Just then, Chizuru walked in, only for Akira to immediately strike her down to the floor. After finishing what he had done, Akira washed his hands, then climbed back in through the window and returned to the classroom.
Sorry, teacher. I took a bit longer.
It's fine. Go back to your seat.
The teacher didn't say much and simply resumed the lesson. After class, Suzuki impatiently asked the others why Chizuru still hadn't come back.
Didn't she just say her stomach hurts? Maybe she's still in pain. I'll go to the bathroom to see if she's still in there. Go for it, Mai.
Not long after, Mai came running back in a panic, clearly terrified. She shouted that Chizuru was dead in the bathroom. Everyone followed Mai to the bathroom, and panic quickly spread through the group. Mai let out a scream and demanded to know if Akira had killed Chizuru. After all, he had been in the bathroom earlier.
Are you saying me?
Everyone looked at Mai in confusion. To them, Megumi was just a fragile, gentle girl. How could she possibly have done something like that?
Call the police!
In the classroom, Misaki was proudly bragging to her friends about how badly she had bullied Megumi. Everyone was mocking Megumi, laughing at her expense. At that very moment, Akira, dressed as a girl, pushed the door open and walked in. Seeing Akira unharmed, Misaki was a bit surprised, but continued to mock him with scornful words. In that instant, Akira realized she was the one who had hurt his sister.
It's fine, since you're still healthy standing there. Let me play with you for a few more days.
Faced with Suzuki's provocation, Akira didn't get angry. He simply stared at her coldly. This only enraged Suzuki further, and she immediately slapped Akira across the face. Without hesitation, Akira struck back, kicking Misaki to the ground. Misaki began screaming curses at him. In fact, Megumi had tried to report the severe bullying to the principal before, but Misaki's family was extremely wealthy and had donated a lot of money to the school. The principal claimed there was nothing he could do, and even warned Megumi not to make a big deal out of it.
Megumi Kawashima, it's not easy for you to come to our school, right? If you still want to continue studying, just do what I say.
This world is just that unfair. The weak are bullied, while the powerful act without restraint. One day, while Megumi and her grandfather were collecting scrap on the street, a young man stopped them and began hurling insults. Megumi was furious, but her anger only provoked even harsher abuse. Her grandfather immediately told her to go home, saying he would handle everything. Megumi felt deeply pained. She hated herself for not being able to protect her grandfather, but she could only obey and head home.
Grandpa is in danger. Why this always happen on us?
What happened?
After hearing everything, Akira asked where their grandfather was. Megumi told him, then suddenly realized what Akira was planning to do. She tried to stop him, but Akira had already pushed the door open and rushed out. Meanwhile, the young man was still humiliating Megumi's grandfather, even began to get physical. Just then, he was suddenly knocked to the ground. It was Akira, who had arrived just in time to save their grandfather. The next day, while watching TV at home, Megumi saw a news report. A male body had been found in the alleyway the day before, and the victim had died in extremely brutal manner. Back to the moment when Akira was confronting Misaki. The teacher entered the classroom and was surprised to see Misaki collapsed on the floor, glaring at Akira. The teacher asked what had happened, and Misaki immediately began accusing Akira. Wanting to smooth things over, the teacher asked Akira to come to her office. On the way to the office, many people saw Megumi seemingly unharmed and were visibly shocked. They started whispering among themselves.
At that moment, Misaki was furious. Her former followers were now afraid of her and no longer dared to associate with her. One girl remarked that everyone who had been close to Misaki had ended up dead, which made it hard not to suspect that the killer might be connected to her. Misaki grew even angrier after hearing that. But soon, she came up with an idea. She invited everyone to stay together at her family's remote villa for a while. With strength in numbers, she claimed, they wouldn't have to fear the serial killer. She deliberately made a show of insisting that Akira must come to the villa. Akira agreed. Seeing that Akira, who had the worst relationship with Misaki, was going, the others hesitated at first, but eventually agreed as well.
Wow! If Megumi goes, why don't we go too?
Since everyone's on board, we'll set off tonight. Trust me, you will all be safe.
That evening, the group set off for Suzuki's villa. After a long drive, they finally arrived. Suzuki wore a confident, triumphant expression, determined to prove she had nothing to do with the killer and to win back the admiration of the others. As the lights flickered on, a corpse lay on the floor. Suzuki stared at it in shock. It was her family's housekeeper. Panic spread through the group instantly. Someone shouted to call the police, only to discover that the network had been cut off.
Misaki Suzuki, what do you mean by this? Could it be that the murderer is in your home, and you deliberately brought us here to let him take us all out?
That makes sense. I was wondering why all her friends died, but she's still alive and well. Turns out she's the mastermind behind it all.
Everyone grew furious, and one of the boys lost control. He charged at Misaki and punched her to the ground. It was likely the first time in Misaki's life that she had ever been hit. She screamed and cursed the boy hysterically, but he only hit her harder. The others, convinced this was all part of Misaki's carefully orchestrated scheme, didn't step in to stop him. Just then, another piercing scream rang out. Everyone jumped in fear once more. The sharp metallic scent of blood filled the air. Someone had died. Enraged by the sight, the boy resumed beating Suzuki. Suddenly, the sound of a blade slicing through the air rang out. He collapsed to the floor. Akira stood beside his body, gazing down coldly at the corpse. Just as Suzuki was about to thank Akira for saving her, he suddenly kicked her to the ground. A chilling voice echoed through the room, accompanied by Akira's cold, twisted laugh.
With such deftness and this familiar method of killing, I've finally found you, Miss Killer.
Suddenly, the owner of that eerie voice began a ruthless slaughter. Everyone in the villa had been killed. Akira stood calmly, watching as a man emerged from the shadows. He asked the man what exactly he was trying to do. The man burst into laughter and told Akira to take a closer look at the way each of the victims had died. Akira stared at the countless corpses around him and suddenly realized that the way they had been killed was exactly like his own methods. The man had been imitating him. The man burst into manic laughter again and introduced himself as Hinata Haru. He said he had thoroughly investigated the people Akira had killed and realized they were all terrible individuals. He declared that he wanted to join Akira, to purge the world of evil together. However, Akira replied coldly that he killed those people simply because he couldn't stand them. He had no grand vision of purging the world of evil. Hinata didn't believe him at all. He questioned why Akira had saved Misaki earlier while she was being beaten. According to his investigation, Misaki had regularly bullied Megumi at school. Akira stated flatly that he couldn't let Suzuki get away so easily. Her life was in his hands, and only he would decide her fate. Just then, the sound of police sirens pierced the air. Without hesitation, Akira leapt out the window and fled, with Hinata following close behind. Akira dashed into the depths of the forest, his figure quickly swallowed by the trees. Hinata let out a sigh, deciding he wanted no part in this mess anymore, and ran in the opposite direction. Meanwhile, Officer Watanabe had lost track of Megumi and was growing frustrated. When suddenly, Megumi jumped down from a tree, startling him out of his wits.
Kawashima Megumi. Don't call me that. It's my sister's name. You don't deserve to say this name.
Akira shouted angrily that he wasn't Megumi. He was her brother, but Watanabe stared at him in confusion and asked what nonsense he was talking about.
These people died so tragically because of you, and you feel no remorse?
Remorse? If you had been trampled, humiliated, and tortured to despair by those people like my sister was, would you still ask such a question?
Suddenly, Akira lunged forward, thrusting the knife in his hand toward Watanabe. He let out a cry of pain and collapsed to the ground.
In light of the fact that you're not a bad person, I won't kill you. But do you really think the law will deliver justice for people like you?
You can't escape forever. One day the truth will drag you down into the abyss.
Akira ran through the forest, trying to escape the police pursuit.
Why you insisted on telling the police you were a boy when you clearly appeared to be a girl?
Because I'm not Megumi. I'm her twin brother.
What are you talking about? Are all geniuses truly mad? I've done my research on you. You don't have a younger brother. You are Megumi.
What are you saying? You're lying. Listen to my voice. What girl sounds like this? I'm a guy.
Isn't your voice like that because it was damaged when you were being bullied by Suzuki Misaki and the others?
Akira was suddenly overwhelmed by a splitting headache. He clutched his head and dropped to the ground, crouching in pain. Akira woke up in a hospital room, his head still throbbing with pain.
You finally woke up, Megumi Kawashiwa.
Hearing someone call him Megumi, Akira became extremely agitated. He immediately snapped back angrily, insisting that he wasn't Megumi.
I hadn't expected Megumi to be suffering from such severe schizophrenia. It had progressed far beyond what anyone had imagined.
No, I'm Akira. My sister's in a coma. I put her in the hospital. I paid the fees. You can check.
We checked. There's no such record. Kawashima Akira. There is no such person. There's only Kawashima Megumi. Your classmates know you. Do you think they wouldn't recognize you? You think we wouldn't realize you're not a boy? If you still don't believe it, check your own body.
Akira, or rather, Megumi, looked down and saw the curve of her chest. In that moment, she completely broke down. Watanabe began questioning Megumi about the details of the crimes and informed her that a lawyer would be assigned to defend her, aiming for a lighter sentence. He tried to comfort Megumi, assuring her that people with mental illness are not sentenced to death.
Accepting the truth takes courage. Acknowledging your past isn't surrender. It's the first step to healing. Cooperate with treatment.
Your Honor, members of the jury, my client, Kawashima Megumi, is not a cold-blooded killer, but a victim suffering from severe mental illness. Since childhood, she has endured domestic abuse, school bullying, and extreme poverty. These traumatic experiences accumulated over time, ultimately leading to profound psychological damage. We have a psychiatric evaluation report that clearly states Ms. Kawashima suffers from dissociative identity disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. She did not commit these acts with a clear and conscious mind. Rather, her actions were carried out while she was in a dissociative state, under the control of an alternate identity, one she believed to be her younger brother, Akira.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we cannot deny this defendant, Kawashima Megumi, or whoever she claims to be, has indeed experienced trauma. But we must be clear about one thing. Trauma does not equate to innocence. The psychological evaluation report does mention dissociative identity disorder. However, it also clearly states that she was lucid for the majority of the time, capable of interacting normally with others, and able to disguise and rationalize her actions. She even demonstrated calm, logical self-defense in front of the police.
Yes, Kawashima Megumi has made grave mistakes that resulted in the loss of several lives, but she committed these acts while in a state of psychological collapse and identity disorder. She has not tried to escape responsibility. She has already been enduring punishment within the shattered ruins of her own mind.
If we cannot find it in our hearts to show compassion for a child like her, then perhaps it is time for our legal system to reflect on whether it still upholds the essence of humanity.
This court finds that the defendant, Kawashima Megumi, was suffering from a severe mental disorder at the time of the crimes, with signs of dissociative identity and cognitive distortion, and thus lacked full criminal responsibility in most cases. However, due to the continuous, violent nature of her actions and the fear inflicted on society, she must still be held accountable. The court hereby sentences her to no less than 20 years of psychiatric treatment and corrective supervision at a state-designated forensic mental health facility. If deemed unfit for reintegration after that period, her confinement will be extended indefinitely. Miss Kawashima, you were once a victim, but you have also become a perpetrator. I hope that in the trial of time, you will truly confront the self that was suppressed, torn apart, and forgotten.
Sis Akira Megumi